Good morning, I'm Stephanie Ross with your 11 Today morning news update. This year, the summer tourism boom brought in $25 to $30 million more than in past years. According to this third quarter report, violent and property crime has decreased from this time last year. Fruit producers like Talbot Farms here in Palisade pour a combined $23 million into the Colorado economy. But without workers, there are no peaches to sell. But there are a few small things that you can do to keep cool and save money, like using a ceiling fan. A little bit too early to tell, they can't quite count yet, but they're just stressing again to remember to be generous and to remember the people that are here locally that do need help during the holiday season. Again, they were saying that there is a very strong connection not only between the 5 people that were victimized in this, but the person that they're looking for. And the Opportunity Center is actually a program that aims to reintroduce students into the educational system that have either been expelled or have dropped out of school. And there aren't very many students involved in this. There's only about 40 kids that go to school here. Probably want to get here a little bit early and bundle up. It's supposed to be cold, but it'll be beautiful with all the lights. It's going to be really something to see. Well, Jean, the jury did come back to court this afternoon with no decision at all. They could not agree on any of the 5 charges against Mr. Schrader, and they have now been declared a hung jury. They did deliberate for nearly 14 hours trying to come up with some sort of consensus, but they just were not able to. Now, Mr. Schrader was charged with 5 separate charges, 2 counts of attempted murder and 3 counts of solicitation to commit murder. And the prosecuting attorney, Rich Tuttle, says it is very rare for a jury to come back with no decision whatsoever.
I probably have heard.
Now they will have to select a brand new jury to try this case. They will be retrying it in mid-July. At the Mesa County Justice Center, Stephanie Ross, KKC. You can see the smoke from miles away.
I got off at the Clifton exit and you could see the smoke billowing. And I called my husband, who's still back in Denver, and I said, our canyon's on fire.
The fire started off of Highway 141 near mile marker 142, not far from Ellen Reiner's home.
I figured the house is gone, the dog is gone. It's very scary out here to have a fire.
But luckily for Ellen and the many others who live in Unaweep Canyon, the efforts of the more than 30 firefighters on scene have so far kept structures from burning.
We've got helicopters that are carrying Bambi buckets. Those hold about 100 gallons of water. They're dipping into different ponds, and the tankers are coming in from Walker Field.
But just in case, all of the residents in the area have been evacuated, and they can only look on at the smoke, hoping the flames aren't reaching their homes.
And this is what we worry about all year. And then when the summer comes, we worry twice as much.
And those who live out here know of the dangers and try to be prepared.
Everybody knows that this is always a possibility. I have all my pictures in the kitchen, which is closest to the door, because those are the things you can't replace.
But when fire comes this close, residents can only rely on the talents of the firefighters.
All these agencies owe them a debt of gratitude for the work that they do. And it's not just on the fire line, it's training, it's putting their lives on the line for their neighbors.
In Unaweep Canyon, Stephanie Ross. That they have identified a prime suspect in this case. His name is Robert L. Burke. He is 54 years old with gray hair, and he drives a 1999 maroon Astrovan with license plate 794 CYB. Authorities are asking that if anybody knows his location or any information about Mr. Burke to please contact them. And what I'm going to do right now is also go over all of the locations that these bombs were found today. The first address was, there's a bomb that actually went off this morning at about 4 o'clock in the morning. It was at 816 Mozet Lawn in Grand Junction. The second bomb was found at 2256 Knollwood Lane. The third at 2975 Summerbrook Drive. There was another one found at 611 Serenade Street. And the last so far was found at 2344 and a half Rattlesnake. Now, 2 of these bombs did actually go off. The other 3 were taken care of by the bomb squad.
Starting at about 4:30 this morning, we received
There were over 100 people that were actually called in immediately to work on this case, and there were also the police department, the sheriff's office, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. They were calling basically everybody in to make sure that this was not going to continue to happen.
Stephanie, what are they doing?
Well, not a whole lot today, but today MoveOn.org has been holding demonstrations all around the country. Why? Well, if you take a look at the marquee behind me, gas prices are over $3 here in Grand Junction, which has people across the country upset, as well as people here in Grand Junction. Over and over again, we hear a cry of frustration about the rising rates at the pump.
I think they're a little ridiculous.
It's outrageous.
Forcing people to change their driving habits.
We got to watch our driving very closely and try and minimize it.
Some are even trading in their cars.
I went and bought a different car that gets a lot better gas mileage.
But the fact is that we all use gas every day, and everyone has to pay the price.
People are going to do it. I think it's going to be used no matter what.
In fact, AAA says that Americans are traveling more than ever, and the current costs of gas aren't stopping them from taking trips. But Brenda Erickson and her car full of kids are traveling less and staying longer to ease the pain at the pump.
And we're going to be gone for 2 weeks instead of, teeny little trips.
And the consensus is that it's only going to get worse.
I think eventually it's going to be $4 or $5 before it ends. I think it's going to be nuts.
And Glenn, there was supposed to actually be a rally here in Grand Junction, but as you can see, not a whole lot of people showed up, but that doesn't mean that people here in Grand Junction aren't feeling that pain at the pump.
Just freaking out because, our house was on fire.
Fire destroyed this apartment complex, and 4 families are without a home.
I'm still a little shaken up because, this is my home, this is my kids' home, and, it's hard to move.
Robert Clark came back to go through his belongings to see what can be saved.
We were very lucky, very lucky.
Lucky because no one was hurt in the fire and their apartment received minimal damage, but the tenant across the hall wasn't so lucky.
My neighbor upstairs pretty much lost everything that he had.
And investigators believe that it all started with this couch and teenagers that were playing with fire.
We were able to receive information from several different witnesses that saw the suspect light the couch on fire.
And if charges are filed, the penalties may be steep.
What you're looking at is probably a Class 4 felony for arson.
But Robert just hopes that those responsible have learned one thing from this tragedy.
Don't play with fire. It ruins lives.
In Clifton, Stephanie Ross, KKCO 11 News.